among the first few in India to be certified as a functional medicine health coach from FMCA, USA. He specializes in helping people suffering from metabolic syndrome, which results in diseases like diabetes, obesity, migraines, low energy, mood swings, allergies, arthritis, and hypertension. He uses various modalities, including dietary changes, supplements, mind-body medicine, batch flower remedies, and naturopathic cleansing, etc. Having practiced classical yoga and meditation for over 17 years, he brings a unique combination of yogic lifestyle and principles of modern medicine together. Let us understand from him that what is the importance of diet when it comes to polycystic ovarian syndrome in his practice. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Karishma, for introducing me, and to IFM for having me here on this platform. Very happy to share my little 2 bits with everyone. So in addition to whatever you told about me, I'm also the co-founder of the Hormone Research Program. So with that, let's jump into this topic. It's quite a big topic. I hope I'll be able to do some justice to it in the allotted 30 minutes. So PCOS, right? This is actually the most common form of hormonal imbalance for women. Estimates are suggesting that up to 25% of women, especially in the reproductive age bracket and even in the perimenopause and menopause stage, might be struggling with different levels of PCOS. Approximately 90% tend to be overweight or obese, okay? 80 to 90%. The remaining 20% can be normal, okay? Externally, at least they will look normal. Internally, they might have extra fat. Conventionally, this is considered a lifelong disease with obviously enormous medical, emotional, financial consequences, right? Not only that, PCOS also brings along with it a very high risk for secondary disease dynamics. Many secondary diseases like diabetes, cardiovascular issues, tumors, fibroids, cancers, many issues, including thyroid. The last couple of sessions, we got wonderful insight into thyroid. PCOS increases the likelihood of women getting thyroid issues, and actually 70 to 80% of thyroid cases are found in women. Maybe there's a connection with PCOS here. There are some interesting myths in our society about PCOS. We just thought we'll start with looking at some of them. Period pain, cramps, mood swings, acne breakouts, all of these are normal. They're normal part of growing up for young women, teenagers, and all. And this is how it is. That's what we are told. You have to learn to live with it. Well, I'm sorry to say that's not true. Okay, periods are not supposed to be painful. You're not supposed to go crazy with mood swings or acne breakouts, etc. And the only solution for the hormonal imbalances is a hormonal pill. This is the conventional thought process, that the only solution is a pill. Well, we'll look at in the next few slides, you will see how complex this problem is, and then you will realize that a pill cannot solve all those issues. Also, the conventional thought process, creates this thing in our minds that each part of the body works separately from the rest of the body. So my periods problem has nothing to do with the rest of my health, with the rest of my body. This is not true. Those of you who've been listening to different, amazing speakers for the almost 3 days now, you would have realized that the whole concept of functional medicine is based on the principle of interconnectedness, that everything in the body actually impacts everything else. So if your periods are in a mess, surely there are other things in the body which are creating that and also getting impacted by the periods. And as I said, 80 to 90% of women who have PCOS tend to be overweight. So the most common advice they are given is you just need to eat less and exercise more if you want to lose weight. And also losing weight, as is put as a condition to reverse your PCOS issue. Both of these are not true. Okay, nobody has managed to lose weight effectively in the long run by eating less and working out more, because your body goes into starvation mode. It thinks I'm starving, and it starts reducing the consumption of energy even for basic functions like your heart, your liver function. All of these, the body will start reducing the energy supply. So you will actually feel like crap, but you won't really lose much weight. And the moment you slacken a little bit on your eating less and exercising more, immediately the weight will start shooting up because the metabolic rate itself has come down. Uh, so with some of these myths out of the way, let's look at what is PCOS actually. What are the details? Once again, a lot of women think, oh, I don't have cysts in my ovary. We see this often in the hormone reset program. I don't have cysts in the ovary, so I don't have PCOS. Well, cysts in the ovary is just one symptom, okay, PCOD. So till 10-15 years back, this was referred to as a disease, polycystic ovarian disease. But now the understanding has evolved and the D has been replaced by S, which stands for syndrome. In other words, it's a collection of symptoms. So it's a syndrome with many symptoms like delayed ovulation or menstrual cycles, hyperandrogenism, that is excessive amount of male hormones in the female body. And yes, polycystic ovaries is one of those symptoms. And each of these actually create a whole secondary set of symptoms. So you can, we looked at irregular or painful missing periods, cysts in the ovaries, acne breakouts, unwanted hair growth on the face, chest, back, or other parts of the body, infertility, poor flow during the periods, fertility-related issues. I mean, today, if you see even small towns, fertility clinics are just popping up like anything. Why? Because so many women, so many couples are struggling to conceive, right? PMS syndrome, breast lumps, fibroids, weight gain, inability to lose it easily, thyroid issues, mood swings, gut issues, digestive issues, okay, acid reflux, gas, bloating, constipation, irritability, anxiety, depression, headaches, and loss of hair in the male pattern balding happening for women. So all of these, and actually a few more comprise the overall symptoms of PCOS. And now, when you understand this, you look at yourself or look at women around you, you will realize that these symptoms are present in a very large percentage. So what is the conventional approach for this issue, this incredibly complex issue of PCOS? The conventional treatment consists of pills largely, right? Birth control pills to regulate periods, progesterone administration to help balance estrogen and progesterone imbalance, various other pharmaceutical medicines for other purposes, other medicines or hormones to reduce the hair growth, because that's one of the key symptoms which is externally visible, right? And women want it to be addressed on priority. Hair removal procedures, acne treatments, right? Dieting to lose weight. So these are the solutions that are offered. So I have a question here, okay, for everybody who's listening. What is the common factor that you see in the above treatments? Think about it. The common factor, I mean, even for those who are not functional medicine practitioners in the audience, I mean, if you spent quite a bit of time by now listening to our amazing lineup of speakers, you would realize that all of these points, they are only addressing the symptoms. They are not going to the root cause. They're not addressing the why of the problem. They're only addressing the what of the problem, right? Purely symptomatic approach. And all of these medications, they have significant side effects in the long term. Okay. The first word point here, birth control pills to help regulate period. We have had so many women who have come to us with, endometriosis or thickening of the endometrium, etc., which happened because of these external hormones, right? So there is no attention or importance being given to the factors, to the root causes, which are actually resulting in these symptoms. So what are the main drivers of this particular hormonal imbalance, the PCOS related issues? The two are estrogen dominance, which is caused by a variety of factors, including xenoestrogens. What are xenoestrogens? Xenoestrogens are artificial uh, estrogen-like substances, okay, which can come from the outside usually, which obviously, look and behave and function like estrogen in the body, and they obviously create an imbalance, right? Excess fat itself, the fat cells by themselves, they produce estrogen hormone, they secrete estrogen. So that also creates imbalance. Liver dysfunction. Why is liver dysfunction connected with hormonal imbalance? See, hormones are very powerful substances, and it's a very interesting fact that normally more than 90% of the hormone is always bound up. Dr. Anish was sharing one of the cases, right, for thyroid, where the thyroid binding globulin was high, much more of the hormone was bound up. So this is true for all hormones, that a large proportion is always bound up. Only a small amount is available for action freely. Why? Because they're very powerful. And once their work is done, they need to be detoxified and removed from the body. This job belongs to the liver. If your liver is not in good health, if it has even a small degree of fat or inflammation, it will not be able to do this work properly. And you will end up with excessive levels of hormones circulating in your system. Constipation is another important thing. Even low-grade mild constipation over a few years can create significant hormonal imbalances. Why? Because once the liver has done its job of detoxifying, changing the chemical structure a little bit, how does it get excreted? It gets excreted through the bowels, right? Through the stool. And if you have constipation, if the stuff stays there for too long, once again, a lot of these hormones will get reabsorbed into your body, again resulting in hormonal imbalance. The next reason is insulin resistance, high levels of insulin, which is caused by refined carbohydrates consumption, which almost all of us are doing to a very high degree, much more than we should, much more than our bodies are designed for. A sedentary lifestyle, toxins, deficiencies, chronic stress. We look at some of these things in more detail, points in more detail. Okay. So causes of estrogen dominance I've already covered largely, right? Detoxification and poor gut health, including constipation. See, there is much more to each of these points, right? But we're just kind of touching over them to help the audience understand. And this is more focused on not the functional medicine practitioners, but on the the patient-centric conference that we are doing this time, to help you understand that there is much more to all this than meets the eye, right? There is much more to all these chronic problems than can be solved by taking 1 or 2 or 3 pills. You need to understand why these things are happening and focus your attention on resolving those. So we understood what are the primary factors driving estrogen dominance. Now, what happens when estrogen is high, relatively high? It leads to PCOS symptoms directly, okay? The cysts in the ovary, etc. Fibroids are a common result of estrogen dominance. And adenomyosis, endometriosis, issues related to the uterus, and breast lumps. Once again, if you look at look at women around you, you'll see a very high percentage of women having one or more of these issues. See, somebody might have a fibroid which is not painful, which is not causing them any problem. So it can get ignored, but that doesn't mean that the body is functioning the way it is supposed to. Definitely there are other issues also which are happening, but most of the time, as I said, that myth, it's normal. We just ignore it. Okay, this much happens with everybody. So, just learn to live with it, kind of thing. That's not the way to live life, isn't it? So the next point is, the next root cause is insulin resistance. It's important to understand this because this is something we can change very easily and very quickly. Okay, you eat carbohydrates, proteins, carbs, fats. Okay, all have an impact on insulin, but the carbohydrates have the highest impact. Protein have much lower than that. Fats, negligible impact. Okay, so the discussion here is focused on carbohydrates, and that's also the primary imbalance in our diets. You eat, let's say, refined carbs, for example, white rice, which is something all of us eat, right, today. And you will see within 40 minutes, 45 minutes, it will get digested and get absorbed into your bloodstream. Your blood sugar levels will spike. Following that spike will be the spike of insulin. Body will secrete insulin to manage your blood sugar level to get it down again. If you eat complex carbs, let's say millets, brown rice, red rice, etc., the digestion happens slowly and the sugar enters the bloodstream slowly. The level never spikes up that high, and therefore the insulin secretion also remains low. Okay. Now what happens is your cell has a receptor for insulin. Only when insulin comes and sits on this receptor, it will allow the glucose to enter. So in this figure, blue balls are the insulin molecules and red is the glucose. So only when the receptor is activated by insulin, it will allow the glucose to enter the cell, right? What happens is, and once again, I think I don't have enough time to go into the mechanics of this, but because of the variety of factors I mentioned earlier, a diet which is loaded with refined carbs, less physical activity, toxicity, deficiencies, stress, etc., our cells are already full of, glucose. They are not able to handle it, and they have started resisting more glucose. So they deactivate the insulin receptors. Okay. As a result, the glucose remains in the bloodstream. But glucose in the bloodstream is very harmful for the body. It's inflammatory. It causes a lot of damage. Cardiovascular system, nervous system, so many issues are caused by high glucose. So the body responds by secreting more insulin. This becomes a vicious cycle. The more insulin the body secretes, the more the cells try to resist it. And the body has to respond by producing more insulin. So it becomes a vicious cycle, right? Now, all of this, basically, this is also the process for type 2 diabetes that leads to type 2 diabetes. Now, the question is, what does this have to do with your ovaries? The important thing to understand here is that your ovaries essentially are responsible for pregnancy, for creating the next generation, right? When should the ovaries, ensure that the eggs mature and they are released in the fallopian tube for conception to happen, fertilization to happen? Only when there is enough food available, right? But they don't have eyes and ears and nose to see, right, how much food is available around. So nature has made the ovaries extremely sensitive to insulin, because insulin spikes in relation to how much food you're eating. If you're eating a lot of food, insulin will be high. When the body senses that, the ovaries start functioning properly. But the problem is, nature never thought that we will create a situation where we have too much insulin all the time. And this is creating, the whole process is going haywire, basically. So sustained high insulin is leading to the growth of multiple follicles, to higher estrogen levels, and to higher testosterone levels. And these are the fundamentals of all the symptoms behind PCOS, right? So what are the effects of insulin resistance? More fat deposit, fat gain. That's one thing that I did not discuss, but majority of the weight that people are putting on is because of insulin resistance. Fat, as I said, also secretes estrogen, and it leads to fatty liver, diabetes, cholesterol imbalances. Insulin level also ensures that more male hormones are produced, which obviously lead to acne, facial hair, and baldness also. So we have understood the problem, right? Now, the important thing is, what is the solution? So in the next few slides, I will quickly cover the 3 macronutrients and what is the change in your diet that you can make to start reversing not only PCOS, but a lot of other chronic health issues, okay? So the primary thing is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the naturally occurring sugars, starches, and fibers in food. When you eat these, the digestive process breaks these down into glucose. And your cells use glucose for energy, right? This much we know. The important thing to understand here is that they are non-essential. See, in nutrition speak language, this means that the body can produce glucose internally. It is not necessary that you have to eat carbohydrate for the body to produce glucose. So what are foods which are high in net carb, which lead to the first graph, the high spike of insulin, glucose and insulin? White sugar in any form, and if you have these symptoms, even jaggery will be harmful for you, okay, at least initially. Sweets, obviously, right? The very ripe and sweet fruit, they're also high in sugar, especially fructose. And in many ways, fructose is actually more harmful than glucose. So fruits are not bad for you, but if you have significant amount of insulin resistance, then it is important that you go off the very ripe and the very sweet fruits for a period of time. Okay, and some starchy vegetables like the potato family. Obviously, the grains that we eat, which are largely limited to wheat and rice now, we have such a huge diversity, but we have forgotten all of that. We just stick to wheat and rice. Almost all processed foods will be high in net carbs. Obviously, soft drinks, packaged fruit juices, cereals, etc. These are all examples of high net carb food. If you can simply remove these foods, okay, within a few days, you will start seeing that your health starts improving. Okay, that is how quick the impact is. That's how powerful food is. So what are the foods which are low in net carbs and which we can increase our consumption of? So essentially all other vegetables, okay, non-starchy vegetables, you can have as much as you want. Seeds like chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, watermelon, muskmelon, so many seeds are available, right? All of those you can have. Millets, nuts, coconut and its flour is a wonderful addition, to your process of making chapatis and all. It can reduce the net carb load of your atta, of the flour that you use to make chapatis. Oils and ghee, protein-rich foods will obviously be low in net carbs. And these two categories also we don't consume enough of on an average, usually. So now let's look at proteins. They are they are responsible for tissue maintenance and repair, structure and movement. See, if I move my arm like this, I can move it because the protein filaments in my muscles are enabling me to do this, right? The structure of the body. People think bones are made of calcium. Bones are actually made of protein. Calcium only fills up, certain, let's say, holes in the structure to make it strong and rigid. But the actual structure is made of protein. Hormones and enzymes utilize proteins. Okay, almost all enzymes will have protein as a major part. Transport and storage, which is essential, right? Every cell, every activity in the body requires transport, movement of nutrients and other chemicals, and storage. That is job done by proteins. The immune system function fundamentally depends on proteins. See, in the last 2.5, 3 years of the corona pandemic, everybody, general population, has become aware of the term antibodies, isn't it? What are these made of? These are proteins. Proteins are made from amino acids, and there are 9 essential amino acids. Essential, once again, means that the body cannot produce these internally. They must come from the food that we eat. So how much to eat? As a thumb rule, we say 1 gram per kg of body weight. Okay. However, this is for, if you're 60 kg, you need 60 grams, right? But this is for requirement for normal health maintenance. If you are sick or old and you want to recover from ailments, you need more protein. And I think Dr. Anish mentioned it in the previous session that 85% of Indian population is deficient in protein. So you can imagine, right? We have 116 people in this group. More than 100 are deficient. 60 grams is not much, right? If we focus a little bit, if we pay attention a little bit, we can easily make this happen. So what are good sources of protein? Beans, lentils, pulses, dals, legumes, nuts, seeds. Quinoa is a very interesting thing because this is supposed to have all the 9 essential amino acids. Okay. Tofu is a good source, especially for vegetarians and vegans, but it's very important that you ensure that it is non-hybrid, non-GMO. Okay, because soybean is one of the most heavily, genetically modified crops, and that's not something which is very good for your body. Advanced protein, you could always take a supplement in terms of a good protein powder, or spirulina is also a very good source of protein and many other nutrients. And I would want to make a special mention of our traditional lentil, actually horse gram. It's known as kollu in South India, as kulthi in North India. It's the most protein-rich lentil found on the planet. It has more protein than an equivalent amount of egg. It is the highest in iron. It has extremely high amount of calcium. Okay, so if you want more protein, you can just add a couple of spoons, 3-4 spoons of horse gram in your daily diet, and you should be having enough protein. Only one caveat: it's a little difficult to digest because it has high fiber content. So initially you start with a small amount and slowly increase it. And it's also better to start with a cooked thing, which is little easier to digest. Later on, you can even sprout it, etc., and use it. Very, very good for health.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. 4 minutes to go. 5 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, sure. We'll finish. So last is fats. See, fats have been demonized in the last 35 years like anything. Okay, fat is not bad. Bad fat is bad. So each cell of our body is made up of fat. Most hormones are made of fat. Your brain is over 60% fat, and fat is a great source of energy. Okay, we need not be afraid of fats. We just need to understand which fat is healthy, which is not healthy, right? So generally they are categorized in 4 different categories: saturated, mono unsaturated, polyunsaturated, and trans fats. Okay, I'll not go into detail of what all this means, but simply to say that if you want to avoid, if you have chronic health issues, you should avoid refined oils. You should avoid most seed oils like corn, sunflower, cottonseed, peanut, etc. Sesame is a seed oil, but it is okay. It's good for you. Okay. Fats to include in your diet: ghee, sourced from A2, grass-fed cow's milk, cold-pressed coconut oil, olive oil, flaxseed oil, hemp seed oil, etc. Okay, these are all very good for you. Now, if I have to put this, whole thing in the, in the form of a few steps, this is how it will look like. Step 1: reduce the consumption of carbohydrates by at least 50%, because our diets are overloaded with carbohydrates and too little of other things. Basically, the grains is too much. So reduce it by a minimum of 50%. It should not exceed 25% of your diet. Okay. Step 2 is to remove refined carbs, all kinds. Okay. Step 3: replace the refined carbs with unrefined ones, millets, etc. Or if you're want to eat rice, you could have brown rice, red rice, black rice. There's so many varieties, actually, thousands of varieties in India. Increase protein consumption, very, very important. Minimum 1 gram per kg body weight. And if you are looking at recovering from chronic health issues, it is better to avoid animal protein because it tends to be inflammatory, and the quality that is available to us is very, very pathetic, and especially for animal protein. Step 5 is to increase healthy fats. Minimum is 75 to 90 ml per day. Okay, combined all the fats, whether you use it for cooking or you use it for salad dressing, or you put it in your dal, and etc. That is 5 to 6 tablespoons, big spoons. Okay. And importantly, also increase the variety. Don't just have 1 or 2. And that is applicable across your diet to every category, whether it is dal or lentil or bean or vegetable or fruit or seeds or nuts or ghee. Fat. In every category, you must increase the variety. One way to do that is to consciously include as many colors as possible. And last, add pre and probiotics. Our diets have become very, very deficient in this also. If you simply do this, okay, I can guarantee in the next 3 months, half your chronic problems will be gone. You don't need anything else, just this much. Okay. This is the, the mainstay of a healthy lifestyle. Obviously, there are many more things that we need to do on top of this, but this body is literally made up of the food that we eat, right? So what kind of food you eat is very, very important. So I will just want to finish with this, that in terms of the big picture, okay, Chronic health issues are caused by crap food, toxins, and stress. And if you want to reverse your health issues, you need to maximize what is needed: raw materials, good things, oxygen, water, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, healthy fats, a strong belief that I can heal myself. Minimize what is harmful: toxins, infections, allergens, stress, trauma, and limiting belief. And make it important in your life. Create an environment for healing. Sleep, rest, laugh, have fun, reduce your stress, exercise, stretch, do breathing, do pranayam, meditation, have meaningful relationships. Okay, you have to create the right environment for the healing to happen. So with that, I will stop my screen share. In case there are any questions and we have time, I can look at them.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for providing us the information on PCOS and diet. There are many questions actually. So I would like to start with the first question. Isn't the arsenic content too high in brown rice? Also, is it not too difficult to digest, especially for people suffering from gut issues? I have heard white rice is easier to digest and contains resistant starch. Your thoughts on the same?
So see, white rice is definitely easier to digest, but it's not good for you, right? And if you are having a weak gut, what you need to do is to make the switch gently. Okay, start with a small quantity of, let's say, brown rice. If you go for a good quality organic option, I don't think arsenic is an issue.
Okay. Second question is, can you please speak on seed cycling?
Seed cycling. So see, I briefly mentioned, I think 5-6 types of seeds, right? So one simple way to ensure that you include those seeds is seed cycling, right? One can look at more scientific aspects about it, but I prefer to keep these things simple. So, okay, this week I will eat this seed, next week I will eat that seed, or every day I change. Right? It's basically a simple way to ensure that you do it, that you implement it. But yes, it is very, very good. It has many benefits.
Okay. How and why fructose is more harmful than glucose? Should be the last question.
Sure. See, fructose is more harmful because fructose doesn't get metabolized like glucose. It directly goes to your liver and gets converted into fat. Okay, and that obviously is the unhealthy kind of fat. Okay, triglycerides and the wrong kind of LDL, and also it creates inflammation in the liver itself. It is one of the leading causes of the fatty liver. Fatty liver is becoming like an epidemic. Okay, 30% of the adult population is having some level of fatty liver. So fructose has many issues, coming along with it.
That's it, sir. So
Thank you.
most of the
Thank
questions
you.
have been answered. If you can just wait 1 minute and just see the Q&A, I guess everything is answered.
Sure.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for sharing the insights. Thank you.